Hey guys, just a quick one before we get into the video. Just want to say sorry for not uploading any videos recently, or really very recently at all. I've been really busy with work, going into a new university course and also doing a part-time job on the side, so it's been a bit tricky to get videos out at all, but I am looking to get some out soon, including this one, which we'll pop into in a second. Just wanted to say, yeah, sorry for not releasing any videos recently. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy this one. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this Eidolon Guide 2021 for Vault DPS. I'd like to thank a few of the guys in the Eidolon community just before I get into this video for helping me out with this build. Obviously it's been a long time since I had hosted any hunts, and I've only done 2 or 3 to date. The one you're going to see in this video is probably only going to be my second one after a long time away, so yeah. It's going to be interesting. Don't judge me. But yeah, we're just going to run through the build real quick. And I'll try and explain things as best I can. Obviously, I'm still getting to grips with everything, so hopefully you guys will get to grips with it as well. So let's just run through it here. We've got corrosive protection here. Not necessary if you don't want it. You can run something like Deadeye, as we're going to be using the Sarper to take down the Eidolon's armor now, as we can't really get to that magical 99% mark now that the corrosive protection aura has been nerfed. We've got handspring here on our Exodus slot, just so that we can get up a bit faster. Obviously, if you have primed sure-footed and you'd rather put that there, I would highly recommend doing that. It's much better than handspring, but I haven't put an umbral former on my build, nor do I have access to primed sure-footed just yet. So if you do have it, obviously you can umbral former and then whack that on there. Much better. Would recommend. Then we've got Streamlined for a bit of efficiency. You do not necessarily need this. You can put Vigorous Swap here instead if you so choose and you're not too fussed about efficiency. I, however, am. So that's why I've got efficiency there and not Vigorous Swap. You should have enough damage to take down the limbs on the Eidolon anyway, so it shouldn't be necessary to put Vigorous Swap there unless you feel like you really need it. Then we've got Rolling Guard. This is mainly for 3-man squads, I suppose. It's not totally necessary if you're running 4-man squads all the time, but I would highly recommend it, as it's just really good for sustain and general tankiness, not dying. Definitely have that on. If you're in a 3-man squad and you don't have a Harrow, this is what you're going to be using to avoid mag procs from the Eidolon's energy spikes, as well as taking damage from those energy spikes. And then we've got Narrow Minded here. This is going to be our soul duration mod for this build. This should be basically as much duration as we're going to need, and I'll explain why soon. But yeah. Make sure we have that on for the duration. Shock Trooper for our first ability, which is this one over here. This is going to be our main source of damage applied to our Rubico, which we're going to be using to shoot down the Eidolon limbs. Again, this is being helped along by the duration as well, how much time we get with that 100% electric damage buff. It's also affected by strength, which is what's going to bring us down to blind range over here, and why we need that. It's going to buff our Shock Trooper up quite a lot, as well as our 4th ability, which I'll come to in a second. It's also going to help with our shield, how much electricity damage we get from our shield as well. So definitely worth having a fair bit of strength on this one. Adaptation for our tankiness. As you can see, we're not running any tanky arcanes over here. So definitely have this on, I'd say. It really helps prevent damage from pretty much everything. So 100% have this on. And then Umbral Vitality and Umbral Intensify, A for the tankiness and B for the extra strength. Really nice. And it also gives us some tower resistance, which is sentient resistance. Again, adding to our tankiness. Our arcanes we're using, Arcane Acceleration and Arcane Momentum, both help towards our Rubico. Going to improve our fire rate as well as our reload speed. Just really nice utility arcanes. Nothing special. I don't think you really need Energize on this build, to be honest, so you can put it on if you want. I'd put it on instead of the Momentum. I think the Acceleration is much more handy. If you've got a Wisp who is competent and is able to buff your attack speed a bit, maybe take off the Acceleration instead. But really, it's up to you what you put here. It's very dependent on your playstyle, so do whatever suits you best. So I've also replaced Volt's 4th ability with Mirage's Eclipse. So the reason that we've done this is because it's going to increase our damage even more and pretty much guarantee us the limb kill. If we get into a sticky situation, perhaps where we've got stuck and we can't get behind our shield, this ability is really handy to have on. It just means that you're going to be dealing easily enough damage to take down the limb. So I would highly recommend putting this on. Obviously, if you don't have access to this, then it is not a huge problem. But I would 100% look at trying to get this on there. It will really improve kind of the consistency of how many limbs you break in one shot. So really do go for this. You'll see how it's affecting our damage in this run. I'll try and point it out when it's becoming useful. So let's go on to our Rubico here. Standard Rubico build as before. When we were using Chroma, except for when we have put Amalgam Serration on, since we do not have Chroma's buff applying, we are going to need Serration on. I put Amalgam Serration on just for the movement speed. Movement speed very important at the moment across planes, given that Blink on Itzal has been removed, but it's now a general thing. But yeah, definitely have the movement speed. Everything else is, let's see, yeah, radiation and crit oriented, as well as multi-shot. So yeah, Vig Armaments and Split Chamber. We've then got Point Strike and Vital Sense for the crit chance. The Riven here, not the best in the world, but definitely good enough, I'd say. So the crit chance there, by boosting me up to 125%. And then Heat and Multi-Shot to create that radiation with the Stormbringer. And then we've got Prime Cryo rounds just for that massive increase in damage here. Cold damage does do increased damage to Eidolons, so it's definitely a mod worth having on here. And if you want to form this a bit more, if you want to form the Vital Sense, you can obviously put an Exilus mod in there, if you so choose. I haven't yet. I probably will at some point, but it's not necessary. This should be comfortably enough to help you along with destroying the Eidolon limbs. The secondary I have on, Sicarus Prime. This is going to be for destroying Vonvalists. Again, we want radiation on this build. Vonvalists do take more damage to electricity, but we're going to put radiation on as if we get into, again, a sticky situation where it might be more beneficial for us to take down the Eidolon limb with the Sicarus, then this is obviously what we're going to want. I do have a Riven on here. It's, again, not the best in the world. It doesn't even have a negative, and the third stat on there is not really very good for us at all. But it does the job, so it gives us a bit of multi-shot and a bit of crit chance, boosting our crit chance over the 100% mark, which is really nice. And then, yeah, Hornet Strike, crit damage and crit chance, multi-shot and fire rate, and then those two mods to make radiation at the end there. And you'll see where we're going to be using this in the hunt. Lastly, we've got the Sarper. This is going to be used for stripping the Eidolon's armor, given that Corrosive Projection can't quite get the results we want. So we've got Shattering Impact here. Everything else then is just attack speed oriented. And then I've also put Dispatch Overdrive on. If you do get the chance, you can hit a heavy attack and get some movement speed for a bit of fun. But yeah, just make sure Shattering Impact and then any kind of attack speed mods that you may have, definitely throw those on. It will help. Finally, as per on the DPS, we are running Unairu for the Unairu Wisp, so that we can get some Wisps down for our teammates, which will double their Void damage on their amps. And also we're going to be using Void Chrysalis and Void Shadow. If you've got a Wisp in your squad, which is now the meta rather than a Trinity, this is going to be really helpful, especially during Gantalist when the lasers appear, if they do appear. This can be really useful in protecting the lures from damage. So do make sure that you're using this to your best advantage. Make sure you're not losing lures halfway through a fight, as things can get a bit sticky if you do. We're then going to head over to our Sentinel here. So the main thing to not have on your Sentinel is going to be Vacuum. You don't want Vacuum on because you'll start sucking up all the Wisps that you're dropping for your teammates, and then they won't get any damage. So make sure you do not have this mod on. It will cause problems. And then other than that, it's just going to be a standard build, really. Just put on whatever you want. Your usual build. I like to have ammo case on if my sniper gets low from where I'm stacking combo counter. Don't have to use any ammo pads, so I can get some back. And then on your secondary weapon, it's not going to do anything, but I'd highly recommend putting on Vigilante mods, because as you can see, it's going to stack up our buff for it, which is providing us with a chance to enhance our critical hits from primary weapons. So do make sure that you have those on, because it does help with guaranteeing you a one-shot on the limbs. Arcwing, we're going to be using Itzal. Again, before, if you remember, we started removing mods just so we could start with more energy, but given that we're not actually using energy for Blink anymore, this doesn't really matter. So go ahead and throw on whatever build you want. I'd recommend putting on Hyperion Thrusters for that flight speed, really good. And also putting on Cold Snap as well. This is going to be useful for getting Vomvalists into the lure, which you'll see. Everything else is, yeah, down to your discretion, up to you. So do whatever you want. Other than that, I think that's probably it for the Vault build. I think we've gone through everything there. What we'll do, we will hop into the plains and I'll sort of walk you guys through a run. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, so we're just entering the plains here, and the first thing we're going to do as per is get our lure charged. So we're going to come in, press 2, get on our Archwing, fly over here, grab our lure, and then we're going to shoot these Vomvalists. It's important to note that Vomvalists are really lazy in this patch, so they're not going to move anywhere. My teammates have kindly marked 2 Vomvalists back at the gate as well. Since we're in a 3-man, we're only going to get 2 Vomvalists over there on our first spawn. So yeah, we're now going to come over and spawn the Wisps in for our teammates, get our Rubico out, and take down the limb. So when we were getting those second pair of Vomvalists, I did hit my 1 so that I had my first buff on already. So when I got to the Eidolon, I was ready to shoot. And we're just going to keep doing the DPS stuff, spawning in Wisps for our teammate here, and just back off a bit. You'll notice that I'm not quite doing enough damage just yet to take down the limb in 1, so I'm going to get my Sarper out and start reducing the armor a bit. Just keep spawning Wisps. Yeah, making a few mistakes here. Getting used to the memory of hitting keys. But yeah, once again, 2-shot for that one. So maybe some more armor needed, but it doesn't matter at this point really. We're coming to the last limb. Make sure that your 4th is active as well, being your Eclipse. And then you should be able to one-shot the limb. As you'll see here, this limb does go down in 1 shot now. There we go. So now we want to go under the Eidolon, and we're going to get as many of the Vomvalists that spawn as we can using our amp. Gather those up. So we've got 2 charged. Once, as I said before, the Vomvalists are very lazy at the moment. They are really not coming in at all. So if you are struggling for charges at this point, you may want to go a bit further afield to try and find some Vomvalists to charge the lures. As the Wisp player, obviously we'll do a guide on that role, but as that Wisp player, you're going to be wanting to go and charge your lures now, really, and try and get as many in there as possible, because it's going to be a bit tricky later on. So just making sure that we've got all our buffs here. The Vault player has kindly put down some shields for us. Make sure you come under the Eidolon to get the charges.
Oh, come on.
And we're going to headshot, fly over towards the shrine, which is going to TP our lures, and then we're going to get the loot dropping around the shrine so that we don't have to grab the loot and then fly over to the shrine.
So
We're already there. So as you can see, we got all the lures charged there. Now we're going to put in our shard. As the host, you want to put your shard in first. Make sure our buffs are up, and then we're going to go to the spawn and get some Wisps down for our teammates.
Why is it so hard
And get ready to shoot. So we're just going to strip the armor with our Sarper here.
They're really not that
And keep
small,
spawning Wisps. And now we're back into the same kind of routine as we were with the Terrorist. Using that rolling guard to prevent damage. And we're just going to keep spawning Wisps. So it is a bit of backwards and forwards past this point. Obviously, once you've got into the routine of things, you'll get the hang of it. As you can see, I'm actually making some mistakes here quite frequently. But yeah, the rolling guard, you need to make sure that you do it at the right timing. I am getting to the point where I'm doing it pretty much correctly all the time. But you don't want to do it too early, because then you'll take a mag proc from the last one. It doesn't matter too much if you do it slightly too late. Obviously, it will just cancel the mag proc if you do it slightly too late, so not a huge deal, but there is a timing to it where you can just not take any damage or any mag procs at all. So once you've figured that out, obviously it's very handy.
Okay, because I'm getting zeros every time, so...
You can see as well that I'm actually using I'm using a shield. So that one was without a shield.
Nope.
But I did have my 4 up there, so it definitely helps.
Yeah, I broke the shield.
But yeah, if you are struggling to take it down, just stick down a Vault shield, and that should comfortably deal the damage.
Oh, that was mine.
So there we go. We're going to do the same thing as the Terrorist. We're going to throw down some Proper shots to get the Vonvalists that spawn under. And then we're going to give our Wisp here a hand, charging the lures if at all possible. He's actually just thrown off here to get the Vonvalists himself. But we got the Vonvalists that were under the Gansers for him there.
After this, and you'll be far, far away. So
And we're just stacking up our combo counter on our sniper rifle. What I will do, guys, is I might do a video on the fast charging element as well, just so you guys know exactly how to do that. Obviously, it's a bit fast in this video and a bit tricky to commentate on, but we can always go into depth on that. And then we're going to head back. So as you can see, it looks like we've got all those charged. So I think this run clocks in at about 7 minutes and 4 seconds for the last Hydralisk limb, leaving the planes at around the 8-minute 10 mark. So it's a decent run, especially considering it was only my second host. I was quite happy with it. We got close spawn, make sure you get the wisps down and get ready to shoot. There we go. Strip the armor with the Sarper. Get bombs, wisps down for our teammates, sorry. So as you saw there, during my movement before that, I had already rolled, which reset the timer on my rolling guard cooldown. So
Forgot that I didn't
yeah,
have enough stacks.
make sure you're wary of how you're moving around and that you don't roll by accident. Obviously, I'm doing it just because of muscle memory. It's how I get around, but you do need to be wary of that. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going. Like I said, bit routine at this point, so hopefully you guys have kind of got an idea of how this is working. But we'll see it through to the end. And yeah, there's not really much else you need to know past that point. What we already know. Just make sure you're stripping the armor with the Sarper, keeping all your buffs up. Your first ability, or the Shock Trooper, it doesn't actually appear over the ability. It will appear in the top right, so just be wary of that. There's quite a lot of things to keep track of. But yeah. So this is the last limb coming up here. It's important to note as well that
704.
nights or 6 caps are actually quite a bit easier now.
Did you record?
They fix kind of night timings so that you always get your full 50 minutes basically. So yeah, you should be able to do things pretty easily if you practice enough.
Is it definitely? Do we know if it's definitely allied with the loot?
So one thing that we've done here, the Wisp has marked this one lure, as that one is the one carrying the loot. So the first lure to connect to the Hydralist is the one that's going to be carrying the loot. I believe it's also the one connecting to the shoulders is the one always carrying the loot, so just be aware of that. Shoot that, hit R2, get on our Arcwing. Situate our frame by the door, and we're going to park the lure just outside. And then grab the loot and dash in. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you in the next one.